And this is the Nextbase Piqo Dashcam, which is a very small and compact dashcam, but is loaded with advanced features such as Wi-Fi, app support, GPS, geofencing capabilities, and more. And on this video, I'm gonna show you what comes in this kit, as well as walk you through the features of it, and then we'll take a look at some driving video both a day and a night to see how well it actually performs. And I also want to remind you that I placed a link in the description down below to the Piqo Dashcam in case you want to get one for yourself. And let's begin with mounting. There is double-sided tape right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and peel that back, and then I'm gonna place this on the clean windshield. The mount also allows us to adjust the view angle quite a bit. This is how far it goes in this direction, and this is how far it goes towards the other direction. Power comes in via this USB-C port. We get this button in the center, and on the opposite side, we get the memory card bay supporting up to 256 gigabytes of memory. And the mount also supports removing the dashcam from the windshield. And for power, they have included this automotive adapter, which does have two USB ports. That way we can power both the dashcam and something else. And the first thing you'll notice is that we have this ring indicator light, and when it's pulsating red, it means that it is begun recording. Now, this actually is a button, as I showed you earlier, and this is normal recording, but if I were to see something interesting on the road, I can tap on that, and that is gonna flag and protect that section of the video as important. That way I can locate that a lot easier in the future. And the Piqo also supports a G sensor, which could potentially help to detect a car crash and automatically flag the video for you instead of having to tap this button. And that's what it looks like. It also starts flashing fast, just like if I were to have tapped this button. Now, technically, even if the G sensor does not detect the car crash, the video is gonna be there, but it's not gonna be flagged as important. So I would recommend, on the case that you see something important on the road, to either tap the button, or if you see that the G sensor have flagged it, that is gonna be the best way to ensure that you can locate that video in the future. And there is a third way of potentially flagging and protecting videos, and that is with the voice commands option. It will go something like this: "Hey Nexi, protect." And at this point, the dashcam will protect the video. But as you saw, it didn't do anything. I'm gonna try another command. "Hey Nexi, privacy mode." Again, nothing happened. Now, the reason why it does not do anything is because the voice commands require a subscription service. Now, currently that subscription service is free, so there is no cost associated with it, but you do have to open up an account with them in order to use that functionality. Moving over to the app, it is called Nextbase and is available for Apple and Android devices, and it gives us access to the dashcam settings. Now, in the dashcam settings, I do like that the menu explains what everything does on here. This is convenient if you're not familiar with dashcams and how they work. For example, smart parking, we know that that relates to parking monitoring. Now, parking monitoring can be enabled with the optional hardwire kit or the OBD2 adapter, what Nextbase calls a permanent live power. You can also choose to turn off the sound that comes from the dashcam if you don't want to hear those, and you can also change the speed units between kilometers and miles per hour. Next up is impact sensitivity, and this relates to the G sensor on the dashcam, where it attempts to detect when you get into a car crash, so it can flag the video for you, and here you can adjust how sensitive you want the dashcam to be to that, either low, medium, or high. Interesting enough, Nextbase recommends setting this at high. Now, in my personal opinion, high is gonna flag a ton of false events, basically every time I go over a speed bump, and this can vary from vehicle to vehicle. Some vehicles have a very stiff suspension, or if you live in an area that has a lot of bumps, high may be too aggressive. So I will recommend experimenting with the setting so you can find the spot that works for your vehicle. And under the next option, recording history, we get two options: maximum or minimum. Now, the name can be a little misleading because when I think of recording history is how much video I want to carry on my dashcam, and you would think you could select between I want to carry the least amount of video or the most amount of video, but if you read the description, this controls the quality and sharpness of the video. So I want my video to be as high as quality as possible, so I selected maximum. Now, I do find this a little confusing because if I was talking about recording history, normally selecting the video to be maximum quality, that means that it's gonna take more space in the memory card, which means that the recording history, basically how much I carry on a dashcam, is gonna be less. And if I were to decrease the quality of the video, now the recording history could be more, because I could potentially carry more video because the file sizes are smaller. So I find it kind of funny that they call it recording history, because as you can see, it could potentially mean two different things, and I could potentially have maximum thinking I'm gonna get the maximum of history, or thinking that I'm gonna get the maximum quality, when it might be the other way around. I'm gonna get the minimum amount of history or the minimum quality when I'm actually selecting maximum. Let me know in the comments down below if you also find this a little confusing. It'd be nice to see that, if they can change that in the future. Now, there are some languages on here that you can change it to from the default one, and I don't think I've seen this many languages available on another dashcam, so that is pretty good, including the fact that you can change English between the UK version and the US version. Moving over to video settings, now we get video quality. Now, this is related to the resolution settings of the dashcam. I currently have it set to the highest, which is 1440p at 30 frames per second, what people know as 2K video. However, I could decrease that to full high definition, but notice that we get high frame rate, and 60 frames per second can potentially help to capture fast moving objects and potentially license plate at the expense of video resolution. Or we could lower that further to full high definition still, but notice that the frame rate now went down to 30 frames per second. Now, going in this direction is gonna allow the dashcam to have more video on it in terms of video history. Going in this direction is going to make the files larger, so the amount of video, the amount of hours that you can carry in your dashcam will be less. Next up is exposure. If you find that the dashcam video is too bright, you can decrease the exposure and it's going to make it darker. If you find that the video is too dark, you can increase the exposure, potentially helping the video look brighter. License plate information can also be entered on here, and that is going to show up as a watermark on the recorded video. Next up, we get stamps. Now, this is also related to the information that is shown on the bottom of the video. That watermark, it can be customized. You can turn off the coordinates, you can turn off the time, you can turn off the model of the dashcam showing up on the video, and you could also turn off the speed if you don't want to have your speed shown as a watermark. The next option after dashcam settings is setup view. Now, this is going to connect to the dashcam and show us a live view coming from it. Now, I do wish that you could see that a little bit larger by flipping the phone or tapping on here to maximize it, but you only get this small screen. It's enough to adjust it, but it would be nice if they can add that feature in the future. And because the Piqo does not include a traditional paper manual, we get this icon, learn about Piqo. And then you could go on here and learn the features of your dashcam or how to use it. Moving over to the bottom two icons, the first one is going to take us to what files are on the dashcam. The second one is to what files are on our phone. Let's take a look at the files that are on the dashcam. And these are the current files that are on the dashcam. I'm going to go ahead and tap on one of them. And as you can see, the video begins to play back. Now, there's a couple of things that I can do with the video. I can choose to share that video, or I could choose to download it to my phone, and a couple other things such as protect it or delete it. Now, currently the video was streaming from the dashcam, but if I were to download it to my phone, then it will move over to this download folder. Going back to the playback screen, I do like that you can tap on here and maximize that in case you wanted to see it on a larger screen. And also, again, we have those icons of being able to share the video, download the video, or protect it or delete it. There is also this checkmark option that allows us to select multiple videos to download them, protect them, or delete them. There's also these two interesting features. The very first one is Nextbase Protect. Now, this is a subscription service that includes the following things: emergency SOS, where it could potentially attempt to send a request for emergency services, basically if the dashcam believes you got into a car crash, additional warranty, and also additional days of cloud storage, basically sending your video up to the cloud. And they do have the option to start a free trial if you want to test that out. And this next option also requires a subscription. However, the subscription is free, so you do have to sign up with them, but there is no cost associated with it. And this is activated using the voice command, activating the witness mode, which does a couple of interesting things. First, it's gonna attempt to notify a designated person, basically an emergency contact, that you have activated that mode. And then it is also gonna take that video once you again activated that witness mode, and it's gonna flag and protect that video because if something important happened, you wanna protect that video. But also, it is gonna send a copy of that video up to the cloud. But there's a couple more things that you get with that free subscription service, and you can see that under more. If you go to Guardian Mode Lite, you can set a speed alert. Basically, if somebody were to exceed a certain speed that you set on here, the dashcam is gonna make a record of it. And next time your phone connects to the dashcam, you will get a notification that somebody has exceeded the speed that you set on the app. The other thing that you'll get with that free subscription service is the geofencing alerts. And here you can tell the dashcam to make a record if somebody happens to leave a particular area, basically geofencing. And again, once you come back to the vehicle and connect to the dashcam, it could alert you that somebody did go outside of that area that you geofenced. Now, one particular function that I really like is the fact that you can check for firmware updates directly from the app. Super convenient, again, because this simplifies keeping the dashcam up to date. Well, now let's take a look at some driving video, both at day and at night. That way we can see how well this dashcam actually performs, including the audio test. And this is an audio test of the Nextbase Piqo 2K dashcam, and I am sitting on the driver's side seat. And this is an audio test of the Nextbase Piqo 2K dashcam, and I'm standing outside the driver's side door. Now, setting up this dashcam was fairly straightforward. As you saw, I just peeled and stuck this to the windshield, and I like that the app walks you through the process, especially if you have never done this before. It connects to the dashcam, pairs the dashcam, sets it up. All you gotta do is follow the prompts. There is some great animations on there that show you exactly what to do, so that's really good. Now, the setup does get to a point where it wants to update the dashcam's software, the firmware, and in my particular case, it would not update the new firmware. I would just get an error, but I was able to continue the setup without having to update the firmware. And then the app is gonna attempt to show you a live view coming from the dashcam. That way you can adjust it and make sure you have a nice, clear view of the road. However, in my particular case, the live view also did not work during setup. So both live view and firmware updates did not work during setup. However, as you saw in the video, later on after I came back to the car and perhaps maybe the dashcam started again, that's when the live view does work, and that's when I was also able to update the firmware on this dashcam using the app. So it does work. It did not work in the beginning, but technically it does work later. But now let's talk about the subscription services and the reason why I could not get that voice control to work. I tried to sign up using the app, and you supply your information, first name, last name, email address, all the stuff that I don't like to supply if I just want to use a dashcam. And then it sends you a verification code to your email so you can punch it back in and enable that functionality. I put the code into the app and I got a blank screen. Now, I tried it 3 different times, and I tried it with 2 different emails, and it was never able to get it to work. So I was never able to test some of the basic functions on this dashcam, such as the voice commands. However, if you really think about it, voice control, those geofencing really tags that happen inside of the dashcam, they should not have a requirement to subscribe to a service. It's for free, but you still have to subscribe for it. Now, there is a separate function
solution where it can potentially store video in the cloud. You can have video up there. Now, the video that's going to be uploaded to the cloud is going to be selective. It's not going to be all of it, and that's included for free. Nextbase has some great ideas as far as the functionality of this dashcam. I think it's just going to be about the implementation. If they can get that app to be not as buggy and the subscription stuff that we talked about, I think they're going to have a really good product on their hands. And if you did not want to use the included automotive adapter, and we're also looking to enable the parking monitoring feature, that will require the hardwire kit, and I have made a video showing how the hardwire process looks. I'll put a link to that video in the description down below. But Nextbase does have the OBD2 adapter, which is a little easier, if not tremendously easier, than standard hardwire. It's almost kind of plug and play. I have made a video on how those adapters work. I'll put a link to that video in the description down below. I'm also gonna place a link in the description down below to this dash cam in case you wanna get one for yourself. And if you guys have any other questions regarding this, please put that in the comments down below. If you found any part of this video helpful, make sure you hit the like button to support the channel, and stay tuned as I have a lot more reviews coming up. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.